I just wanted to.
Late. Go
Oh,
ahead.
too late. Never mind.
I'm sorry. All right, Zulma Gonzalez, this mic is all yours.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thankful Thursday to each and every one. Mickey, I want to hear what you have to say. Go right ahead, please. Was that Mickey that had her hand? Go ahead.
No, I'll do it after. I want to do it off YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay. A thankful Thursday to each and every only one of us. Each and every only one of us. Each and only every one of us. um, I was telling somebody that there's a study group out of Miami that I listen to on Wednesday. That I participate in on Wednesday mornings, and I said, it's only one of us. And it's interesting. I say each and every only, each and every, because as long as we're in bodies, that's the way we're gonna do it. Um, I'm here on my phone. Oh, wait a minute. I have to I have to bring my computer into. Yeah, this thing. I still haven't put my computer in the shop. This thing about me putting my computer in the shop, um, I don't know. I'm attached to it. I'm attached to it. I'm gonna call my computer an idol. I'm attached to it. And I have to put it in the shop because A, there's no sound, and that's actually B. A, I accidentally cracked a piece of the screen and um uh thank you, Mickey. Um I cracked a piece of the screen so it's no longer a touch screen. And um B, I have no sound at all on the computer. So, I come in two places so that I can hear you here and you can see what's on my screen. So I forgot about that part. So let me go on and zoom in. But meanwhile, I have been having a um, discussion with someone who um, is a Course in Miracles facilitator, and not in this group. Uh, Let me see. Don't connect the audio. Turn off my video. No, you need my video. And we're talking. It's words. It's really words. Now we know that words are symbols of symbols. He knows that words are symbols of symbols. He knows that. Um, Yeah, Bob. Let me back up a minute. Mickey had posted in the chat that uh, about me having first said when she heard me say each and every only one of us, and then Bob said he refers to everyone and not everybody, and I have to agree with that, Bob. I do too. And the reason why I got that, it clicked when I met John Mundy. Oh, I met John Mundy. This was way back in 2008, I believe it was, when Regina Dawn Akers and company did the Be the Love conference, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And that's when I met Scott Grace. And if you don't know him, you got to go listen to his music because he's hilarious. Listen to the song. Go on YouTube and listen to um, um, oh, another codependent love song. It might be called Codependent Love Song or Another Codependent Love Song. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's things like Can't Live If Living Is Without You, that kind of thing. Codependent love songs, he called it. It's fantastic. Anyway, but I met Scott and Regina and John Mundy, who was going to be the speaker that Sunday morning. And I didn't know enough about him. Why is this saying uh join with, all right, connecting. Okay, there we go. Um Um, so I had registered, and I was the only one. There was nobody. I came outside and across the field. Some of you know this story already, but for people like Mike and Rick and who've never heard the story, and whoever else, and Bob. Anyway, um, across the field, I see John Mundy. Now, I was a self-study student of the course for at least 10 years. At least 10 years. Just me. Didn't even know there were other people, didn't know anything about anybody else. And I'm kind of glad about that. I really am. I said the same thing about when I first started reading the Bible. Nobody taught me what the Bible said. I read it for myself. Um, and not the whole Bible either. No, but the parts that matter to me still today. Um, it's one thing being told what something says and me taking that on, rather than me, studying for myself. Which in the Bible it says, "Study to show yourself approved." So anyway, so I have been a self student for years and years and years. But anyway, I see John Mundy way across the field, and I recognize him, and I was starstruck. Oh my God! It's to myself. It's John Mundy. Oh my God! This is John Mundy. He's coming toward me. Oh my God! That was where I was, and apparently he saw the stars in my eyes. He saw that I was, ooh. He walks up to me. He holds out his hand to shake mine, and he says, "I'm John Mundy." And I said, "I know." Um, he says, "I'm nobody." He says, "And neither are you." And he walked away. Now, it wasn't until what the heck? What? I'm still saying to myself, but that's John Monday, right? This was me. Okay. But then on Sunday morning, when he gave the message that he was nobody and that neither was I, that's when I got it. But it was just the funniest thing. That was how I met John Mundy, and I had the privilege of being published in one of his the issue of his magazine. I wrote a poem about time. It's called "It's About Time," and back in 2008, I believe it was, and it's around here somewhere. If you ask for it, I'll do it for you. I'll find it and do it. But anyway, um, so yeah. I don't say everybody unless I'm specifically talking about. Oh God, I see myself twice. No, 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 no. Don't want all that. Let's get rid of this one. Okay, and then if I look here, you'll see me straight on. This is crazy because my phone is over here to my left, but in order for you to see me straight on, I have to look here. Anyway, um, I haven't said anything important yet, Rick. I'll let you know when I think it's something worth listening to. It probably won't be till I'm ready to go off, so you get to decide for yourself. Anyhow, so that was my introduction to John Mundy. I have been in touch with him. I've seen him a few times. He goes to the Center for Conscious Living once a year or once every other year, to give a talk. So that was that. So yeah, everyone, not everybody, although it is individual bodies. So technically it is everybody, but only one. Anyhow, so I got that out the way. Having a conversation with someone about A Course in Miracles, and basically the way he's saying it's versus science of mind. He was talking about the conversation, without going into a whole bunch of it's been lengthy, and at this point, I keep repeating the same thing over and over again. He's saying, well, the course teaches one thing, and science of mind teaches something else, and I said, and there were different people who wrote the books, so I could not expect that what this one says is going to be exactly what that one says. And I'm not saying, nor have I ever said, that everything that the course is saying is exactly what The key word here is exactly what science of mind is saying. I'm not saying that. I'm not. I mean, Ernest Holmes, lived and made his physical transition 6 years before Helen even started downloading the course. So, I wouldn't be surprised if she'd read some of his work, or at least Mary Baker Eddy's work, under who one of the people under whom Ernest Holmes studied, because her mother studied under Mary Baker Eddy. So and Helen was an avid reader and the Bible so all that stuff was fascinating to her, and she was a psychologist. So I refer to A Course in Miracles as spiritual psychology, and the Science of Mind textbook refers to itself as a spiritual psychology. To me, they both are. I don't say one is better. I don't say one is not as good as. I don't say this one is right. I don't say this one is wrong. What I do say is that with them both, and not only those, the infinite way, absolutely, but with these, I appreciate my peace. I recognize that I am the peace. I recognize that God is all there is, and I don't need, you know. Okay, I'll give you an example. And when I did the very first time that I presented this A Course in Miracles Meets Science of Mind, before I added and other metaphysical teachings, one of the first things I read was from the glossary of the Science of Mind text, and it's about reality. Reality, the Science of Mind text says, is the truth about anything. Reality actually means that which is indestructible, incapable of decay. Reality is unchanging and everlasting. To me, that's nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. To me. The course goes on. So wait a minute. So then he says, the self we see, this is Ernest Holmes, by the way, the self we see is what man has thought about himself, the form he has molded by his thought, which to me is where the course teaches that we made it up. We made this whole thing up. The Mike and the Rick and the Dove and the Gloria and the Karen and the Lynn and the Michaeli and the Mickey and the Bob and the Sally and the Zulma and the computer and ACIM gather made the whole thing up. This is my world. This is my world. And we have decided as individuals to be part of each other's world. But in truth, if we look at the wholeness of it, there is no world. It's not just like one world and we all think the same thoughts all the time. And no. As individual humans, as humans living in this experience, the body being part of the experience, we see things. We see things that we have our own world. My world right now consists of the sofa with Lovable sitting behind me, and I know Happy is sitting with Dove. Happy's not sitting with me. Happy's sitting with Dove. Lovable is sitting with me. You get my point. Anyway, Ernest Holmes goes on to say the real self is perfection. Real self, all capitals, perfection, capital P. For God could not know anything unlike himself. Now, I understand, or from the course I learned the thing about different levels, communicating on different levels. That to me, to say that God knows is no different than in the course where it says that God is lonely, or any of that stuff. That's all level 2 stuff. We know that. I know that it's level 2 stuff. So he says the real self is perfection, for God could not know anything unlike himself. Our sonship is reality, Christ abiding in us. The kingdom of God within is reality. Reality, as concerning man, is that God in man, as man, is man. That to me is no different than saying that I and the Father are one. Now, the fact that that I'm saying this with my mouth, the fact that I am using this body as a communication device, and in the course all the time, it's talking about in us, in us, in us. Now we realize that's even that is a level statement, because there is no inside outside. There's only isness. There's only isness. There's no inside outside. I just walk lovable. When I'm outside and that wind is blowing, it feels like it's going right through me. That's how it feels. But the truth is, truth with small t. It's hitting the front of me. I'm feeling a chill that it's connecting with the inside, and I'm feeling a chill. Blah blah blah. I feel like it's going right through me, but it's still all one. I'm part of the wind. I'm part of the air. I'm part of everything. I am, and part of is not even the word, because that's still separation. I am what it is. The course teaches, Ernest Holmes teaches, Joel Goldsmith teaches. They all these wonderful teachers are teaching that God is life, and that I am life. And there is no separation, period. So, and I said that because, for whatever the reason, regardless of how many times, okay, we see what we want to see, and we hear what we want to hear. We believe we place our values where we want, what we see, what we want to see, and it doesn't matter how many times or how many ways. Yeah, God doesn't understand words. Yeah, Karen. God, well, yeah, I mean, because it's just the isness of it all. This is the stuff that I'm making. I'm not saying creating, I'm making. It's and it's temporary. I get that. The fact that this computer has a crack in it, is just an assurance of me that it's temporary. Anyway, and I needed to say that out loud, and I was and I actually was waiting to see, and nobody did. Nobody here is trying to debate what I've just said. But yet, this has been an ongoing thing, and I don't understand why. Because if I say in a sentence, I'm not saying that Science of Mind and A Course in Miracles are saying exactly the same thing. Not in every instance, and it can't, for reasons like this. The goal of A Course in Miracles is peace. I don't know what there's not I don't know that there may be a sentence in the Science of Mind textbook that says what the goal is. There may be, I don't know. But for me, who was an ACIM student before I was an SOM student, A Course in Miracles for me has helped me and continues to help me recognize my oneness with my brother, my sister, with my fellow peoples, with my peeps. Science of Mind for me helps me recognize my oneness with all of it. Now, we can say that all of it is made up, granted, but I cut my finger yesterday, nothing serious, just a little nick on the, little nick. And I'll be doggone if you're going to tell me that after I rubbed it up against the Clorox wipes container and opened it back up again, that the blood, you're not going to tell me, oh, that's not real, Zulma, just go on, just let it bleed. Oh, no, it doesn't hurt. No, it's not your finger. No, it's not. No, 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 no. The body is part of my experience. That's how it reads in the Course. So for me, the goal is to recognize my oneness with all of it, with this computer, with ACIM Gather, with this doggy, with that, for me, not ACIM, Science of Mind. Where A Course in Miracles for me, it starts out one-to-one, but I have to admit, and I've said before, I use the Course to help me deal with decluttering my home. Why? Because I have a special relationship with my possessions. And the special relationship is all about is never, ever, ever going to bring me peace. The special relationship, as the course initially just talks about it, because later on it says that the Holy Spirit helps us make these special relationships holy. Now, for me, that'll be when I've gotten rid of everything that is really that's no longer serving me. And there are course lessons that I actually use for the sake of helping me declutter. I will not value what is valueless. I actually look at something like, what value does it serve now? What value is it serving now? And that's what's helping me in the decluttering. So there was one ACIM person in another group. Karen, you know who that person is, who told me that, that I was that I was using the course wrongly, that's not what the course is for. Oh, no, absolutely not. A Course in Miracles is helping me declutter. A Course in Miracles, because the course, when it talks about my brother, well, it's talking about special relationships. It's talking about the world. My world consists of all the stuff that I have in this house. This is my world. Be thankful if it's not yours, because you wouldn't want this. This is my quote cross to bear. This is my cross, the cross that I bear. But it helps me declutter. When the course says do only this, that, my behavioral therapist said to me, it's funny because I give her the course. I feed her the course. She's talking me out of a cognitive behavioral therapy book, and I'm giving her the exact same thing from the course. But she says to me, write down what you want to accomplish that day. Don't write down more than X amount of things. And I'm saying to myself, okay, you mean go back to write down, just do this, do only this. Write down what you want to accomplish and then do only that. Well, there's a sentence in the course that says do only that. It's the same thing. It's all about, what purpose does it serve? What meaning am I giving it? It doesn't have to be about the people. It's about the course says in workbook lesson 23. Karen, you brought up chapter 21, but in workbook lesson 23, it says the same thing, that it's that there's no point in lamenting the world. There's no point in trying to change the world because it's incapable of change. There is a point in changing the way we think about the world, because then everything else changes. If I want to quote that, I think that's pretty much how that reads. I can escape the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. It says, every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. Okay, what I'm seeing is right here is stuff. The world I see. It may not be the world you see, my stuff. I see my stuff. It is with my thoughts, then, that I must work if my perception of the world is to be changed. If the cause of the world I see is attack thoughts, if the cause of this stuff I see is attack thoughts, and it must be so, and it has to be, and it's rooted somewhere in the past. I said special relationships, and all special relationships are rooted in the past. It came to, I had come to a conclusion some time ago, though I'm acting on it very slowly, that I chose to use material things to shelter me, to guard me, to protect me. I can keep you out of my house that way. And I take it back to when I opened the door at the age of 11 to let the friend of the family in who raped my body. When I came to that conclusion, like, oh my God, I used to think it was something. I had some other, because we make up. Oh, we're going to make up whatever we think it is, and I had made up something else before, but that wasn't when that hit me. When that really hit me, like, oh, but in the process of keeping you out, I'm keeping myself locked in. You know what I mean? I really would prefer to come on over. Let's have lunch. That's in my mind. That would be my preference. And unless and until I get to, it's big that, and Karen, those of you who've been here from the time I first started talking about this know that at one time I would have never talked about this because of my, my shame, my feelings of guilt and all that stuff. Well, in recognizing that I am not this body, in recognizing that I am not the past, that the past is gone, it's over, that thing that happened at that time doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. As I continue to get clear on that, stuff is coming, it's going slowly but surely. It's going. It's a lot. It's going to take me the rest of my physical life, perhaps, unless I, get 3 or 4 people in here to help me. But I couldn't even talk about it. There's no shame today. Karen, go ahead, my love.
Hi. I just want to say I love that you shared that and how amazing it is that you correlated that with what, not opening the door and keeping your house in clutter or whatever. So you don't have to let anyone in. And just that is the miracle that you actually correlated where it stems from. So now it's there to be healed, and it's healed, because you're talking about it. You can talk about it now. You've healed from it, and it's just so beautiful because a lot of people, it takes the development of trust says this could take a long, long time, and it could take many, 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 many years, and I'm sure it did. But you got there, and it could have taken the rest of your life. You could have never forgiven it, and you got there and you correlated. I think that's so beautiful. I just wanted to commend you on that. Good
Thank you, my
job.
love. Thank you. Thank you, my love. Thank you. Thank you. And then to top all that off, I get this ADHD diagnosis, and for me, ADHD means accepting divine healing daily. Although I've always thought since like 1996, I actually said to a therapist, I think I have ADD, and his reasons made no sense because he was not trained in that field. And it took all the way to 2024 to finally get an official diagnosis, which includes stuff like this. So if I wanted an excuse, if I wanted an excuse, I could say, "Oh well, I'm a clutter bug because I have ADHD." That's crap because all clutter bugs don't have ADHD. Okay, wait a minute. Somebody just sent me a message. You still hear me okay, right? You still hear me? Somebody nod yes. Mike nod yes. I can see your face. Mike nod yes if you hear me. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Because somebody was calling and I wanted to make sure I don't get lost in the sauce here. So yeah, I could use it for an excuse, but no, now I have an account, my behavioral therapist, I've made her my accountability partner. I've made her my accountability partner. This is what I'm going to accomplish, do only that. So the course is helping me in ways that aren't just about you and me. And if it's still about my brother, if it, as I'm thinking out loud now, and I'm not, nothing's put together here. If this stuff that I have is indeed related to my brother, I'm holding on to it because I'm trying to keep my brother out, but not anymore. But erase that. It doesn't matter. What matters right now is do I need this notebook when I have, a whole bunch more? Do I need notes from, hey, this says September 15th, 2018. I have notes from a workshop that I attended in 2018. So I may keep the notes. So now I have ways, I have tools now. The course says, begin each day with, looking at what, preparing for how you're going to do your day, and then do that. And in the last chapter, it says, and if it doesn't, and if the way you planned it didn't work, then choose again. We keep getting opportunities to atone, to see it differently, to do it a different way. And I heard say in the last hour, no, the course is not about changing my behavior. However, I'll say, as a result of changing the way I think, I will change the way I live, because the course says that every response I make which is a doing, every response I make is determined by what I think I am. So if I continue to think, oh, I'm a victim, and I'm not worthy of having an uncluttered home, and in my mind I must be dirty, that kind of thing. If I were to continue in that mode, then I would continue to consciously live that way. Mm-mm. In lesson 23, it says, if the cause of the world you see is attack thoughts, you must learn that it is these thoughts that you do not want. There is no point in lamenting the world. There is no point in trying to change the world. It is incapable of change because it is merely an effect. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. Here you are changing the cause. The effect, which is the stuff out here, the doing part, will change automatically. It has to start on the inside. It's an inside job. We've heard this. I'm not saying anything you haven't heard before. I'm not. I know I'm not. But it came up and I wanted to bring it up, and that's that. So where was I actually going to go today? Let's see. Karen says, seek not to wait a minute. What is it? Wait a minute. In the chat, she wrote, seek not to change the world, choose to change your mind about the world. Yeah, well, when you change your mind, the behavior will automatically change. Of course, of course. Okay, it's always a choice, and that's the gift. That's the gift that we've been given. The gift of choice. You can go with this, or you can go with that, or you can go with this, or you can go with that. It's a song. You hear me say it all the time. It's a song. It's always a choice. I can choose, which decision to make. The Course says that the ego, like the Holy Spirit, is a decision. It's not some thing that's sitting there, like the devil on my left shoulder and then God on my right shoulder. It's just a choice. And in every moment I get to choose. I get to decide whether I want to be an apple tree or if I want to be an orange. Do oranges? No, oranges grow on trees. No, wait a minute. Let me. I can decide whether I get the. Yes, thank you, Rick. That's not my area. Do I want to be an apple tree or do I want to be an orange tree? I get to decide. I get to decide. Do I want to be an oak and be firm, or do I want to be a willow and be flexible, which is a different kind of oak? But I get to decide. And I keep choosing and choosing and choosing. And the teachings, back to what I was saying initially, say that. They both say that. It's just a matter of the words are not exactly the same because the people who wrote them are not exactly the same. I mean, I don't know why. I really have not, still don't understand why this continues, and I'm going to stop it because it's starting to become, why this continues to be a discussion. What is it that, that this individual is trying to get me to say, that, that one is right and one is wrong, that the way they're written is different, and no, I'm not going to. The Course says that there's a universal. Everything is not for everybody. There are people, when I first read the Course and I came to the part about Christmas and Easter, I was taken aback because I thought, well, everybody's not into Christmas and not into Easter. In fact, there was no Christmas and there was no Easter in the days when the Bible was written. That kind of stuff. And anyway, I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, Zulma, what always comes to me is what the story, and I don't know the story, I wasn't there, but this is a story I heard and it's my interpretation. But two people, or at least one person, was arguing about or disagreeing with what the Course was saying. And he said, what page are you looking at or whatever? And they showed him the page. He said, just rip it out. Just rip it out. Rip out the page, because I'd rather you rip out the page and argue over this silliness. We don't need to argue. Like you said, words are but symbols. The whole point of this Course is I accept the atonement for myself. I'm healed to heal my mind through forgiveness to, the only equals are peace. That means love makes no comparisons. We're not here to disagree. I mean, yeah, we can disagree. We can disagree, but we're not here to argue over the disagreement. We're not here to make the differences a thing. And so, yeah, rip the page out. I love that. I love that he said that. Rather than fight with your brother, rip the page out. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Just rip the page out. Yeah. What's the point? What's the point? I'm at peace. I'm at peace when I read the course. I'm at peace when I read anything Ernest Holmes writes. And I'm not going to say, all right, and you can I don't how you what you feel about it is not for me to I don't care. There's a sentence in the course that says you believe all of it or none of it. I have my feelings about that, and that's all I'm going to say about that. That can be a discussion for another time. That can be a discussion for another time. Oh, Lynn's hand just went up. Go ahead, Lynn.
There we go. Good morning, everybody.
Hi, darling. Good to see your face.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's the whole thing of I'm afraid of being wrong. I'm afraid I'm going to be wrong. And because we're taught our whole lives, you have to be right. You have to be right, um, and this is the right thing. And when you come to understand that I don't even know what anything actually is. Not only do I not know what things are, I don't know what they're for. And that's what this beautiful course is teaching us. I don't know what anything is for. So how could it's like a scientist to say, well, uh, evolution is absolutely proved, and the Big Bang is not it's a fact. You know, in reality, those are ideas they have that they're investigating. A real true scientist will never tell you, I know. A real true scientist will tell you, I don't know. That's why I'm a scientist. I want to find out. If I knew, I'd stop being a scientist and go be a whatever. But I don't know. We don't know. And so this whole idea that somehow or the other, one interpretation of the course is right and the other interpretation of the course is off the mark, it can't exist because the ego will never be right. The ego can never be right
Mm-hmm.
because it's its definition. This is wrong every time. So, I mean, it's just I love where you're going with all this. And this idea that, well, I mean, I grew up as a Catholic. I had a lot of problems with the Catholic Church. A lot of us did. A lot of problems with a lot of things. And, I thought, well, this is I for so many years of my life, I thought this is the only way. And anybody who doesn't get baptized is not going to heaven. Anybody who isn't a Catholic is going to hell, or if you didn't go to mass on Sunday or whatever, all these ideas I came up with, that this is the way it is. And when I was around, 12 years old and started, actually, it was when I went from seventh to eighth grade. Seventh grade, I was in Catholic school. And then eighth grade, I went into public school. And I went into public school and I started learning things like about different cultures. And I started learning things about different religions. And I started learning all kinds of social studies was really a big deal for me. I started learning all this stuff and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. How can this sounds right to me? How can it be wrong? And I realized, and then, looking at history and started learning about the popes, all the different things the popes did over history, which some of them were just horrific beings. And you're thinking, they're supposed to be the mouthpiece of God, infallible. Infallibility of the Pope was a big deal to me. I was like, what? Because I had that belief that was instilled from early childhood. And I realized that that was not what I wanted to believe at all. It made no sense to me. And so I was able to look and say, oh, well, this thing that I firmly thought was absolutely true, I recognize is not. Now, as I'm 72 years old and looking at the church today, and the church really since the 60s, but the things that actually, like the popes, these last two popes, I'm looking at them going, these guys got it going. They know what's happening. They are leading this, massive, church population into a new understanding of things, and an understanding of things that are Christ-like, that have to do with, what Jesus actually taught in the Bible. And, I'm beginning to see, oh, they can be right too. They can be right too. And that's a huge revelation to me. When I started realizing uh, nobody's right if everybody's wrong. And everybody, we're all living in a world of illusion, like Joe Walsh says. Here I am living a life of illusion, and none of it's right. So, Course in Miracles teachers or students arguing with each other over what the Course says is like the absolute opposite of what Jesus is trying to tell us. He's telling us, you don't know anything.
Well, no, Lynn, it's not that, without going into this again, it's not, we're talking, he's talking A Course in Miracles versus Science of Mind.
Right?
And you're saying exactly what Glorian wrote in the chat. Both parties are wrong, and in ego, because if we are aligned with the Christ mind, there is only oneness, nothing separate to argue about. Holy Spirit sees what we see, but believes it not, and that's all. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't even want to dwell on this. I really don't, because something else I wanted to talk about, but we can dwell. It's fine. We can dwell. We never know what anything is for. I love that this is happening. My point in all this is that I can't be part of this quote quote disagreement, because I'm not. First of all, I'm not disagreeing with what two different authors, two different. I mean, if you and I sat down to write a book. I'm writing a book, and if we both wrote a book, same title, and there are books that have the same title that are about different things, excuse me, or that may be about some of the same things, but because the authors are different, it's going to be different. It's as simple as that. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Yes, Dove. Anything else is off purpose. Yes, only Spirit's purpose is on purpose. Thank you, love. And Bob wrote, any organization that claims to be the one true religion isn't. That's ego, not Spirit speaking. Agreed. Agreed. That's why, and I have to admit that's why that statement about I believe all of it or none of it is a thing for me. I have to admit that's the reason. That to me sounds like in the Bible. Don't take any words out. Don't put any words in. That's how that sounds to Zulma. To Zulma, if that's where you are, fine. I'm not gonna, whatever. All right, I'm gonna let's go on.
Zulma, can I just clarify something, honey?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
just gonna call you. I was just gonna call your name. Go ahead, Karen.
this is very interesting, and I want to clarify what the Course is saying here. When the Course says you will either escape, well, first of all, he says that this course will be believed entirely or not at all, for it is wholly true or wholly false, and cannot be but partially believed. And you will either escape from misery or not at all. So the only message he's giving us here is you're either believing in the Holy Spirit thought system or you're believing in the ego thought system, entirely or not at all. This is listening to one voice. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier. So this is not, the ego wants to automatically, oh, I can't believe this all, and it's like the ego speaks first and loudest, but it's really only simply telling us what the Course is teaching us, that Jesus learned this lesson. It was a final lesson he learned, to listen to only one voice. We're going to either believe the Holy Spirit thought system entirely or the ego. There's no in-betweens. Thanks.
I like that. Now, see, I like that. I like that. One thought system or the other. Either I'm going to believe that all the stuff that I'm making up is real, or I'm going to believe that what's real is real. Now, see, I can work with that. I got that. Mike, I see your hand. Go ahead, love.
Can't, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just I just wanted to share a real quick story. I won't go into all the gory details, but I was watching here in Mexico when they chose the new pope, and it was on like the news 24 hours a day. And I sort of had it on his background, and I'll just get down to the point real quick. What I heard the new pope's first three words, I heard it in Italian, and then I heard the Spanish because they were interpreting it. What I heard the Pope say was, God loves everyone. That was the new Pope's first three words that I heard. And I was just like, wow. And I thought he could have stopped right there, you know? and I and that's all I'll say. There's more to the story, but those are the first three words that I heard him say. That's all. Thanks.
And how could it not be so? How could it not be so? One source, one life, one truth, one Father. One, what part of one is there? What? One is one. And we try to complicate it. Oh well, yeah, well, one, but no, there is no such thing as God. And that's a chapter in one of Joe Goldsmith's books. I didn't know where that came from. My Reverend Sheila, who first introduced, was just since made her transition, but I first heard that there's no such thing as God, and there is no and. Period. How could it's like, who's your daddy? Your daddy and my daddy is the same daddy. It's who's your daddy? It's not even a question. There's only one daddy. And that's that. And that is that. Is there anything in the chat I need to look at? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the chat. Yeah, right. What part of one don't you understand? Yeah, right. I am that I am. Omnipresence. Omnipresent means everywhere present. Where outside of everywhere? There's the course that says something like more than everything. There is no such thing as more than everything. There's everything, there's everyone, there's one, and there's nothing else. That's why when COVID-19, I still say COVID-19 was a perfect example in the physical. COVID-19 was a perfect example. Here I am breathing over here, and you happen to be walking by, and you breathe, and I inhaled the same air that you inhaled, and I got COVID. I didn't kiss you, I didn't touch you, I didn't hug you, none of that. But the same air. The same air somebody got on the plane and went to Australia. And then somebody else got COVID. And then they shut down the whole doggone country and most of the world, most of the physical world as we know it, because people all over the place were inhaling the same air, getting COVID. And so it is. And so it is. Wait, did I see a hand? Wait, I thought I saw a hand. Hold up. Did I see a hand? Rick, did I see your hand? No, no, no. Okay, no hand. Okay. Every response you make is determined by what you think you are. And what you want to be is what you think you are. What do you want to be? What you want to be must determine every response you make. Do you believe you are a body? If you do, can't live if living is without you. I'm gonna get you. You know, we got to put some of those songs together. Those ego songs, you know, what's the vengeance songs, right? And special relationship songs. Um, and if I recognize that I am spirit, I am invulnerable, I am invincible, I am perfect, that which means I am complete, I am whole. Nothing can hurt me. Nothing can separate me from life because I am life. Mm. Um, I'm going to go past this for now. I saw this the other day on a T-shirt. I had to copy it. It was online. It was online. Oh, Karen, yes, an idea doesn't leaves not its source. I don't know how to act my age. I've never been this old before. I saw that, and and here's what came to me. Now is new. There is no past. I don't know how the rest of December 11th, 2025 is going to go. And prior to this moment, I didn't know how this moment, the time that's already passed, was going to go. I've never been there before. I've never been in this moment before. I mean, this is funny. I thought this was too cute, but it said it perfectly. I don't know because I've never been this before. I I can't I can't judge you because you have never been who you are in this moment. When Mike or Karen or Lynn hit raise their hands to say something, I didn't know what they were going to say. I may be able to, quote something they've said before, or, because I've listened to I've listened to Mike and I've listened to Karen and I've listened to, but I had no idea what exactly they were going to say. No idea. Well, not even the exactly. Let me take that out. I had no idea what they were going to say because they've never had this moment before. I've never had this moment with them before. How could I be in a position to judge anything, anything? And I love in the course, I believe it's number 24, maybe. How is judgment relinquished? It might be 24, it might be, I don't know, whatever number it is. Anyway, how is judgment relinquished? Where it talks about, that no, it's not 24. I think it's 10. Anyway, the ADHD brain is kicking in, family. Help work with me. Things are happening here. But it says, how is judgment relinquished? It says that we would have to know everything from your past, every single thing from your past, from your present, and your future in order to judge rightly. And who is in a position to do that? I don't know how to act this moment because I've never had this moment before. What am I going to say next? I don't know. Just looked at the clock. It's 25 after 10, so it's not going to be too much, is it? But I am going to share the beginning of from Emmett Fox Speaks. Emmett Fox was okay. I can't tell you much about Emmett Fox. Oh, what I can tell you though is that last week, Regis read a prayer, an affirmation by Emmett Fox from this book that I haven't found yet. And I appreciate that he assumed I knew where it came from. I did not, and I'm glad I didn't because now I'm reading. This is just something else I'm reading. Emmett Fox speaks. He says, "What we experience is our own concept of things." Where we heard this before. That is why no two people see quite the same world, and why, in many cases, different people see such different worlds. To put it in another way, we make our own world by the way in which we think, for we really do live in a world of our own thoughts. Repeat, we live in a world of our own thoughts. It follows from this that if our thinking is faulty, our conditions must be faulty too until our thinking is corrected. What do we say in the course? Until we atone. And that is and that it is useless to try to improve our outer things if we leave our mentality unchanged. What does the Course say? What we do comes from what we think. We think we're not responsible for our thoughts, but we are, because what we do comes from what we think. Emmett Fox continues. Let us suppose, I love this, for the sake of example, that a deaf man goes to Carnegie Hall to a Chrysler recital, and that he happens to be a very foolish person. He sits in the middle of the orchestra, and of course, he does not hear a sound. He is annoyed at this and changes his ticket for a seat in the first balcony. Here, naturally, he fares no better, and foolishly thinking that the acoustics of the building are at fault, moves again to the top balcony. Still, he cannot hear a sound. So now he goes downstairs again, and this time chooses a seat in the very front of the orchestra, only a few yards from the violinist. Of course, he has no better fortune here, and so he stamps out of the theater in a huff, declaring that evidently Chrysler cannot play and that the hall is badly designed for music. It is easy for us to see that the trouble is really within himself. Isn't that what we were just talking about, workbook lesson 23? I can escape from the world I see by giving up these attack thoughts, but I'm trying to blame. There's no point in lamenting the world, no point in trying to change the world. It is only an effect. It is easy for us to see that the trouble is really within himself and that he cannot remedy matters by merely changing his seat. The only thing for him to do is to overcome his deafness in some way, and then he will enjoy the concert. He must change himself. That's what I just said that. This parable applies literally to all the problems of life. We see inharmony because of a spiritual lack within ourselves. As we gain greater spiritual understanding, the true nature of being opens up. As long as we move from one place to another in search of harmony or try to bring it about by changing outer things, we are like the foolish man who could not hear Chrysler and ran about all over the theater. Very simply, there's no point in lamenting the world. There's no point in trying to change the world because it is incapable of change. All we could do is go within, look within, see that there really is no problem, or that we think that there's a problem of separation. Join with God, go into the habit of engaging with God, and then we can be free. We can see, we can hear, we can just be in harmony. And it's as simple as that. All right, and in that simplicity, I'm giving up the mic.
Thank you so much, Selma. Wonderful sharing. And I do appreciate you so much because I